Now, Apple and Paramount Pictures have teamed up with Martin Scorsese to bring Killers of the Flower Moon to the big screen, and it will also be on Apple TV Plus down the road. I got a chance to see an early screening of this movie. It comes out next week as I'm recording this, and man, it is something else. It is a beautiful picture from Scorsese for sure, illustrating a part of American history that I wasn't familiar with, and much like the Tulsa massacres that were illustrated in that Watchmen TV series on HBO, there is this element of, like, of course we should know what went down in Osage County. This is the story of the murders that happened in Osage County in Oklahoma in the 1920s, where the residents, the indigenous people, had struck black gold. They had found oil on their land, had become incredibly wealthy, and had started to take over the towns in the area, and had suddenly flipped the whole racial paradigm on its head. And the way that we're taken into this story is through Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest Burkhart, who finds it all strange and fascinating. He goes to visit his uncle, who has become this kind of legendary father figure to all kinds of people. He's friends to everybody in this community, and he starts to get integrated into this new, interesting dynamic that he hasn't seen anywhere else in the world. And what we start to see is that there's this insidious power grab that's happening, and all kinds of nightmare things start happening to the indigenous people. There are murders happening all over the place, and people getting sick, and it's just all mysterious, and nothing is getting done about all of these heinous crimes that keep getting committed in this community. And so we follow along on this path, and it becomes incredibly stressful, and you're very concerned about these individuals. There's this encroaching dread that's happening through the course of the story and the course of the film, but it's also beautifully rendered and captured, and there's just imagery and you know, color and sounds and things that we just don't see placed together, and it's just a wholly unique experience. And yes, there's threads and connections to some of the crime stories that Scorsese is famous for, and it's not just because Robert De Niro, his muse, plays the uncle figure here, and he's very good, although it's hard to forget that it's Robert De Niro in this piece. And it almost would have been, I think, cooler for Scorsese to find another actor, maybe an unknown actor, like he has with some of the indigenous people, like Lily Gladstone, who plays Molly Burkhart, who is at the center of this thing. But the whole integration into this society and into these cultures is so fascinating to observe on screen. It's not a comfortable one. It's not one where it's peace and love by everybody by any means, but everybody has to kind of live together, and you see the friction, and you see the turmoil, and you see the tension, and I found it so refreshing and so well crafted. It's definitely a lengthy picture. It could have been split up into a miniseries for sure, but I wasn't bored. I was fascinated and riveted, and all of it is based on true events, which is incredible and not honestly that hard to believe about some of the American history that we keep finding out about. But it's all made with such a deft touch. Clearly, Scorsese wanted to honor the source material, which is this celebrated book, and turn that into something that really honors the source material, but also honors this history, this complicated history. And again, DiCaprio proves himself to be one of the best actors that American cinema has ever had. He's just so convincing in the role. He's so snaky and greasy and believable and shocking in terms of the choices and the ignorance and the malevolence that the character is capable of. And there's also this empathetic quality about everybody and their inability to kind of figure out how to peaceably coexist, and how betrayed the Osage Nation is by people that they should be looking to as allies. And of course, some of the story is just hard to stomach, but it is an important story, and it's beautifully told, masterfully told. It's absolutely worth seeing on the big screen as well. It's gorgeous, and the music is incredible as well. Robbie Robertson worked on the score, and there's just this beautiful authenticity and I think a real commitment from Scorsese and his crew to kind of live with this story, and you feel it. You feel transported to the era, and you feel just moved by the quality of this experience, for sure. It's a movie that will haunt me forever, and I'll think about it, and I'll think about these characters and their choices and what became of the Osage Nation during that time forever. I'm going to give Killers of the Flower Moon a 9 out of 10.